guys, welcome to the channel. It's Adam with ND72. So we're back with my Slk320 Supercharged Death Kart project. So what we're going to be doing today is something that's not going to be really adding power, just going to make the car a lot more drivable. So we're going to be tackling some intake and exhaust stuff. So as of right now, the exhaust setup on this car is basically exhaust manifolds that are just straight piped all the way back with 2.5-inch piping. An exhaust that I built, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And it's a little obnoxious and a little bit loud. You can't even hear the supercharger whine. And for the intake, we have literally nothing. So today we're going to be building an intake system and making my exhaust a lot quieter. So I'm not redoing my whole exhaust. My plan is to go through my attic and pull out a series of mufflers. I got some C32 mufflers, some Slk320 mufflers, and a couple other stuff we're going to put on there and see what sounds the best, in my opinion. And the same thing, I went through the attic and I grabbed a series of piping and filter to try to knock out an intake. So we're going to do one thing at a time and make this car sound a lot better. Oh, and if you're new to the channel and you're not familiar with my Death Kart project, I basically have an Slk320 that I gutted and stripped down, lost like 2,000 pounds on it. Then I slapped an Slk320 Supercharger on this bad girl. So now it is, let's go through the specs that actually kind of matter. A car that weighs probably 2,200 pounds. It's got a 327 rear end compared to a 306 rear end. It's got a 10-to-1 compression ratio with a supercharger dropped on there. So it's a fun, crazy little build, but we want to hear that supercharger whine and give it a lot more drivability because I can't keep driving around with no intake. And now some people might ask, well, why don't you just put the intake back on from the Slk320? I just don't like that design. It's kind of restricted. It gets heat soaked. And I have no hood or nothing, so I can just have some fun with it and make it kind of pop out and be cool. So over here I got a series of filters that I'm going to be trying out. All these are used. They're from previous vehicles, but I still have them and they're free. So I either can have somewhat of an intake up going like this, go like this, or go like this. I don't really know if I want it to be sitting over here or anything like that, because then you're just like right over the manifolds. I feel like up here or over here like that's going to get crazy amount of airflow, and it'll probably sound pretty cool, and it's not going to be blocking my view too much. So I got a series of U pipings I'm going to be cutting up, and some 45s and some couplers. This should be relatively easy, so we're going to start matching stuff up and see what works. Okay, so we cut off about 7-8 inches on that U pipe. I don't know if that is just too high, but it looks like a scorpion, kinda. Like, it looks like the tail. Kinda cool, very crazy looking. I don't know. It looks kind of cool. Like, I'm not really hating it, but I don't know. It looks kind of cool. It's like, I don't know. Or you could literally just take this and go right here with it, and then it's like less cool, but still kind of up there. I don't know. Let me play around. Alright, so we got the intake on. We basically went with a normal, like, 90. We went with this filter. I'm not a big fan of the filter, but it was free. And I think the Scorpion look did look cool. But I want to be able to show off the ND72 nameplate, so we're going to leave it like that. And then we're going to start knocking out the exhaust now. Okay, so now that we got the intake more or less sorted out, we're going to be working on the rear end of the car, the part that you're actually going to hear and make a difference. So as you can see, my tip is literally just straight piped exhaust. So this car is not effing quiet. It doesn't really sound that good. It sounds kind of Honda Civic and Rice Race. No offense to any of those guys or girls. Just not my cup of tea. So I went through a series of mufflers, and from talking to friends and talking to people, we narrowed down to 2 of them. So I'm not going to show you all 50 that we put on here. Now I'm going to show you what we got here. We have an Slk320, get out of there, muffler and tip setup. This is not a pass-through design. It's more or less chambered, but it slides right on. So we'll see what this one sounds like. Then what we have over here is a resonator, more or less, from a C32 that is a pass-through design. So basically how this one works is goes straight through, so there's no restriction in flow, but it has all this, like, I don't know what you would call it, like cushioning and all this other material inside that dampers it a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire up this bad girl up. I'm going to let you hear how it is on cold start, and then literally we're going to slide a muffler on, and you will hear an extreme volume difference, and then hopefully I might tack one of these mufflers up, go for a drive on 2 of them and see what it sounds like, see which one's better. Okay, so first, straight open, I'm going to go fire it up, let it warm for a little bit, and then we'll rev it, and I'll let you hear what it sounds with with no muffler, just the straight pipe exhaust.
Run for a little bit. I downloaded a decibel meter. We're going to see how loud it really is, like right here. So on idle, it hits 100 decibels. We're going to give a little rev. So that was basically the straight through design. It hit 105 decibels. So we're going to do the same thing but throw the other muffler on. You're literally going to hear a tone difference right when I put a muffler on. The Slk320, literally I don't even have to shout anymore. It's making it so effing quiet. And for decibels, it's now 78 to 81. That's a pretty big drop. Let's give it a little rev. That one only hit 85 decibels, so it's definitely quieter. We're gonna try the pass-through one, which should make this, it should be a good in-between, so we're gonna see. You literally will hear when I pull the muffler off the difference. So this one is still not perfectly quiet. It's just a little bit louder than that one, or at least in my ears it sounds good. So with the decibel meter, it's basically 2 more decimals. Let's try to rev it. Sounds way different. I'm going to change the camera angle and let you guys see it from a different angle too. So in the comments, tell me which ones you kind of like. I'm kind of going for the middle one that was from the C32 like resonator setup because it's lighter. It definitely muffles it down a lot, and hopefully that'll be enough. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tack it onto the back and go for a test drive and hope it doesn't effing fall off. So we're just going to tack it on and go for a drive and see how it sounds. All right, so we got it tacked in there. Hopefully that'll effing hold. We're going to do a quick little pull and just see how it sounds. I got a GoPro. Hopefully it'll hold up. Alright, so we're driving, it's so much more manageable now, like by a effing lot more manageable. So we're going to drive, we'll go 1 pass forward, we'll turn around, do a little pull, but right now, super manageable. Last time it was by far a lot louder, so just mocking this up, it's not bad. Supercharger. I don't think anything fell off, but we're gonna turn around, do one more pass. You can actually hear that whine pretty good. Okay, so here's a look of my 4-year-old mild steel 2.5-inch exhaust system. So it's not perfect. It hangs really effing low. It's not my best design, but I'm hoping to just cut it like right here, and then I'll put that piece in the center, and then we'll try to work up to try to get some tips in there. So no matter what, we're gonna cut it right here where it's kind of like all rusted up. I should wait for this to cool down a little bit. We're just gonna cut it anyways. All right, here's my next thought. So I went and cut that one up, got it all ready to go in there, and it fits good, but then I have to do some crazy stuff to get tips on there, because my issue is the distance between here and here, the tips don't work. So I'd have to get new tips for it, but I really just like the AMG tips. So what we got here is the Slk320 muffler that we did do testing, and it did sound good. It's just a lot quieter than that one and heavier, but the tips just make it look cool. So that is it jacked all the way up. Now the tips aren't, I mean, I kind of wanted tips to be like over here, but I literally can't because we have like the mounting holes there. So I kind of want to see if I can just weld that up, put it down, and just drive it and see how I like that. Because I really, really want AMG tips to be on here. And the problem with the SLK ones is these tips are so wide. I would have to purchase like aftermarket ones to try to make that fit, which I still might, but for today, I think I'm going to weld that up. So basically what I have is that part cut off. I'm going to trim over here and just connect them, and I got a V-band. The biggest benefit of this is once I V-band this side, I literally could build this, order the tips, and change them out and see later on. But I also want to like maybe paint this because it looks a little crappy. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark this, take it off, cut it, and we're going to put this bad girl on there. All right, so here's more or less everything we're going to weld up. I got my Slk320 muffler. I got it coming over to this nice little bend that goes to the V-band, and then this teeny little muffler that we had on there before. So I'm just going to weld this bad girl up and then get ready to throw it on the car. All right, so we got the exhaust all done now. I still want to paint that muffler because you could just see it, and I think if I paint it black, it'll blend in more. But also, I ran it a few times. This crap is blowing out of that muffler, so this might get a little bit louder as I drive. I don't effing actually know. But we're going to do the first little fire up and see how it sounds. Okay, so we got the new exhaust intake, so we're going to check decimals again, just to compare. So if you remember, the last one should have been 100 at like the idle after it warmed up like this, then it goes up to like 105 when you give a little revs. So we're going to do the same test. That already is way quieter. We hit like 87 compared to 100 decibels. So now we're going to give it a rev, stand in kind of the same spot, and see what happens. Ironically, it didn't really hit over 90. I'm talking pretty quietly. This is so much better. Okay, so the new exhaust, it is so much quieter now. The fan is by far the noisiest thing on the car so far, but the exhaust gives it a nice rumble, a nice little tone, and you can definitely hear the suction from the intake. But all that crap shooting out in the muffler, I'm a little concerned about. But I'm thinking if that's just insulation, it's just going to make it a little bit louder, which will suck. But it's by far more quiet than when it was with straight pipes. So we're going to go take it for a little drive and see what it sounds like. Okay, I've been driving around. By far a lot quieter. Night and effing day difference. Got crap on my head. So we're just going to do a small little pull because it's about to start storming here in Mexico. And we'll see how it goes. And if anyone's wondering, the air intake temps are 3 under ambient. I'll show you that in a little bit. All right, so as you can see, we're 93 air intake temps and it's 93 outside. I don't know if you can even see that. So my cooling system is working pretty effing well. Okay, this exhaust and intake is sounding really effing good. I really don't see anything wrong with it, except one thing, and I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so before we even do any more with the exhaust, I gotta paint that muffler. It just stands out so much. So we're going to start with wrapping off the tips, throw some primer on there, and then we'll get some ceramic coating thermal paint that should be perfect for that. But first, let me wrap off the tips and start priming it, and then I'll show you what it looks like after, because right now, it sticks out. Okay, now that it's painted, that does look so much effing better. It blends in a lot more with everything over there, and it's looking really, really good. Don't mind whatever that leaking is. I still got to figure out what I'm going to do about this vent that's basically overflowing over. Not a fan of that. So we'll have to figure that out, because basically what's happening is when I do a pool, it's just venting too much out and just filling this whole area up, and then it drains. Teeny problem, but the exhaust, that looks so much better. I might also kind of paint like over here black and over here black, so it kind of like blends in a little bit more, but that's looking pretty fresh. Okay, so now that part is painted, super happy with the whole setup of my exhaust and intake. It is by far more drivable and manageable now that it's not just like rattling your ears or anything like that. And you can hear that supercharger whine so much effing more. And it's going to also help me out with editing of not having to like lower the exhaust node. So I'm very happy with it. One thing I'm not too sure what I have been noticing is my intake. The filter is now slowly being twisted and collapsed. I think because I have that chrome part up top, I need something with a hole up top so it could actually suck through it. And I'm still debating on going back to that like scorpion look. So put down in the comments if you think I should like keep the intake how it is, go with that scorpion look, or I'm going to try to get like a smaller filter, like more or less a shorter one with like that hole in the top, so air can be sucked through the top and not just like hitting that chrome piece. But still, like, now I don't have to worry about anything being sucked into the throttle body, like a little leaf or anything like that. And I'll tell you this, out of everything, the muffler, that is the biggest plus for me. It just makes the car so much more drivable. Granted, maybe I'm just getting old in my age, but I don't need a straight piped, no top, no nothing car anymore. I like to hear the supercharger whine, and when I start adding boost and a bigger throttle body, that little girl's gonna be just screaming. So I'm super happy about it. Hopefully you guys like this video. We still got more to come with my death cart. We're gonna be doing, before we actually register the car and take it to a dyno, we got to get the wheels and tires sorted out, which are going to go to a stud conversion. We got to get all the wiring tucked away and all that stuff. We got to do all that stuff, then dyno time. And then after we do the dyno time, maybe we'll go to the drag strip if they'll let me run. Or we'll do some Mexico runs and stuff like that, seeing 60 to 130 and all that stuff. Then once we get all that data, time for boost and power. I already got quite a bit of parts ordered to make this bad girl go faster. And we're going to just be putting it through the paces to see what actually breaks, what it might need, what won't hold up, and then just keep going from there. So hopefully you guys like this channel. Hopefully you like this video. Hopefully you like this series on the death cart. If you guys got any questions or you want anything, hit me up, let me know. And also a big thanks to Rob from Needs Wings to help me with all my cars, and from VTech would also help me for my car. So I'll catch you guys later. Hopefully you guys like it. Share, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you next time.